I'm Steve Williams, Property PT, your personal trainer in property and all things financial freedom. And thanks for joining me today for our session on the Perth property market, where we uncover why the Perth market is seen as one of the best places to invest in Australia in 2022-2023. Today, we're going to uncover why the Perth property market is seen as a hot place to invest. We're going to talk about the state of the economy, a little bit about what it's like living in Perth, and I'm going to give you a bonus where I share with you how you can get the best property in Perth. So stick around to the end to get this really cool information. And if I could ask for your help, if you want to help build this community of empowered property buyers, if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, give us a like, place a comment below with any questions or comments that you have. I'd love to be in touch with you. And before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm Steve Williams. I'm a buyer's agent and a property coach, and I've lived in Sydney, Melbourne, and Canberra. And about a year and a half ago, I actually moved to Perth. And I remember landing here, looking at the real estate market, thinking, why aren't people snapping up these places? I mean, you can get some really good quality homes, minutes from a beach for like crazy cheap prices. Since then, the property market has actually increased about 10 to 20%, but there's still plenty of opportunity, which I'm going to talk through in just a moment. So what's it like living in Perth? Well, I guess I'm a little bit unbiased because I'm from Canberra. I'm fairly new to the city, but I want to give you my open and honest opinion on what it's like living in WA. Well, if you ask a local, you're probably going to hear the saying, West is best. The true East-West rivalry is alive. And in fact, they actually have this written on their bottles of milk to remind West Australians how great Western Australia is. But is this actually true? Well, I have to say it's pretty bloody good. If we look at the city, it's stunning, it's beautiful. You know, you've got fantastic beaches, pristine coastlines, beautiful rivers, parklands, open spaces. You know, it's an abundance of natural beauty here in Perth. So what are the other advantages? Well, you can drive to work. There's a fantastic road network. And guess what? There's no toll roads. People are friendly. They look out for one another. And you can have a yarn to your local retail staff who seem to have the time in the world for you. And if you're into the arts, the talent pool of incredible performers means there's always a huge amount of entertainment. And if you have time in January, come to Perth for the Fringe Festival. It's absolutely brilliant. There's a really good public transport infrastructure network for a city of this size, and the train network continues to expand up and down the coast. You can walk into a job pretty much and often get paid the big bucks. And guess what? You can drive to a beach, pull up, and not have to pay for parking. There's an abundance of car spots right along the beautiful coastlines that Perth has to offer. So are you moving here yet? As you can see, Perth is a really great place to live and also a really great place to invest, which I'm going to go through now with you. So let's take a look at how the Perth economy is doing. So Perth is a city of about 2.1 million people, and the population is growing at a steady rate. Perth is actually, in the same time zone as 60% of the world's population. It's a stone's throw from Asia, and there's even direct flights available to London and Rome. Perth is really popular for students who often move here. They love the lifestyle and they stay on to build a family. Opportunities for those looking to get permanent residency, with Perth being classed as a regional city, unlike our East Coast capitals. So Perth's just a mining town. It relies on the mining, but does it actually? Mining actually only makes up a smaller proportion of employment than a lot of other industries. Yes, the economy in whole and the GDP is largely driven by mining, but the mining sector itself is also diversifying with new exploration in lithium and other resources. WA actually produces about 50% of Australia's exports. So after the mining boom of the mid 2000s and 2010, the Perth government and the West Australian government realised that they needed to diversify their industries so they could be more sustainable and provide greater employment opportunities. So they've invested a huge amount of money and resources into diversifying new industries. So while mining is a big part of the economy, there is certainly other industries that are becoming a lot larger and creating employment opportunities, meaning that the risk is lower from an economic perspective. With the risk of an upcoming recession, a lot of economists and property commentators are actually saying that Perth can probably sustain any recession, and that's because our economy is not reliant on the financial sector or the services sector. And typically the mining industry sustains fairly well through these times. So that is certainly a positive for investing in this region. The other thing that's going on is there is a ton of investment in new infrastructure. The city is growing, there's new transport infrastructure, there's billions of dollars being spent on highways with no tolls, I might add. And they're also building a lot of new mining sites and other heavy industrial that will create a lot of opportunity around this region, creating new employment and economic activity. This means that it will have a positive impact on the property market for years to come. We don't unfortunately have the time to talk about all of these projects that are going on in Perth right now, but I'm going to create a video for you down the track so you can really get a feel for how much is actually going on over here. So let's take a look at the drivers of the Perth property market and the current state of the market. The vacancy rate is hovering at around 0.4%. This is one of the lowest in the countries, and this is having a lot of upwards pressure on rental rates. Even with the rental rates prior to the increases, Perth was actually offering really great yields. In fact, it's not uncommon for a yield on an investment property to be 5 to 6%, whereas if you compare this to our East Coast capitals, they're around 3 to 4% depending on the property. So it is a really attractive place to invest to get those cash flow positive properties. And with the huge amount of demand for rental properties and new employment opportunities, and given that Perth is actually the second fastest growing region in the country, there's only going to be increased demand for rentals, and this could also mean that rental prices continue to increase. So with all of these factors at play, what is the current state of the market? Well, if you refer to the Heron Todd White property clock, we'll actually see that Perth is over on the left-hand side, and that means that it is a rising market. Whereas a lot of our other capitals, they're either at their peak or they're declining. So there's still some growth left in the current cycle. We are behind the rest of the country over here. Okay, so now how much does a house in Perth actually cost? Well, it really depends on the area of Perth and the type of property. But if we look at the median house price, it's currently $554,000 according to CoreLogic. This is actually the cheapest capital city. It's around the same as Darwin, but the cheapest capital city in the country, meaning that it is really affordable. And given that the incomes are the second highest in the country, it kind of, gives us the perception that maybe there's some growth still to catch up to the rest of the country. And a really interesting fun fact is that in 2006, the median house price of Perth was actually similar to that of Sydney. And now it's almost around half of what the Sydney median house price is. Okay, so I did promise you that I was going to share you some hot tips for buying a great property in Perth. Well, I want to give you one of the hottest tips that I have. And there's all the data in the world. There's all of the, hotspot magazines and investment websites that you can look at. But there's nothing like local knowledge and simply asking the locals, what do you think of an area? I actually recently used this strategy for a purchase that I just made for myself. And I'd actually look up an area, do the research, look at all the statistics, look at how the economy is in that region. Then I'd ask my friends and people that were around me, what do you think of this area? Some of the common responses were, it's not a nice area, there's people doing burnouts in the streets, or it could be, oh, that place is really nice, it's up and coming, and it's also really, near the beach. So, lots of great places to go out and spend the day. So I ended up landing on a property where people said, wow, that area is up and coming. and I was really happy with my purchase. I got a really good price with the prospect that the market is going to increase over time. So when you're buying a property, yes, it's important to look at the data, look at the statistics, look at how the economy in that area is going, but there's nothing like having the local knowledge and asking people what an area is like. This can actually impact on the value of your property in the long term and its growth prospects. So I hope that was helpful. Hope you learned a few things. As I said, I'm Steve Williams, Property PT, your personal trainer in property and financial freedom. If you'd like to help me build this community, I would love your support. If you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, give us a like, comment below. Any questions, also feel free to DM me. I'd love to help with any questions you have about property or the Perth property market. Until next time, thank you very much, and we'll see you then.